Ahoy there! Ever caught sight of a Viking ship on the horizon? Okay, maybe not in real life, but imagine back in the days between 793 and 1066 AD. Those long, menacing ships making their mark in Denmark, Norway, and Sweden and beyond. They were the OG pirates before it was cool, sailing around Europe, making a name for themselves, raiding, settling, and occasionally job hunting. Did you know some even got gigs as elite guards in far-off Byzantine? But once these seafaring adrenaline junkies docked their ships and took off their horned helmets, just kidding, they didn't really wear those, they had a whole societal system back home. You'd think they'd just brawl it out, right? Nope. They had The Thing. And no, it's not a movie or some mystery object. The Thing was their version of a town hall meeting. Everyone would gather, not for some Viking potluck, but to discuss laws, settle beefs, and sometimes decide who gets the proverbial time out in the wilderness, a practice they called outlawry. So were these warriors all about raiding abroad but rule and order back home? Let's journey into Viking punishments to uncover the truth. A unique duel. Imagine being a Viking strolling through your village when someone throws shade at your significant other. What do? Challenge them to a thumb war? Nope. You challenge them to a duel called a holmgang, a test of strength, skill, and valor. But here's where things get wild. Let's say you're not the best duelist in town and it seems like you're about to lose. In Sweden and Denmark, there was an odd escape route for those finding themselves on the losing end, and it involves, wait for it, a cow. After the fight, a cow, presumably minding its own business, was brought onto the scene. Its tail was shaved and slathered with grease, and then things got rowdy. The challenged, now with greasy shoes, had to grab the cow's tail. Picture it, a massive cow, agitated and running wild, and a Viking trying to hold on for dear life, hoping not to end up face first in the mud. If he managed to hang on, not only did he earn his freedom, but he also got the cow as a prize. Talk about win-win, unless you're the cow. The next punishment brings us to Sweden's Bjarke laws. Potentially dating back to 832, these laws spelled out some intriguing consequences for wrongdoers. Those caught stealing during trading journeys faced more than a stern talking to. Instead, they were in for a sticky, feathery ordeal. Culprits would first have their heads shaved, followed by a fresh coat of tar, and then a lavish sprinkling of duck feathers. But wait, there's more! Now dressed in this feathery attire, they had to sprint between two lines of their fellow traders. And these spectators weren't just passive watchers, they pelted the unlucky fellow with stones and bricks. And if you thought, hey, I'll just watch, think again. Any trader who didn't partake in the pelting had to pay a fine. And if the thief survived, well, he had already paid the price for his misdeeds. What, you expected more? Well, we have something far more intense lined up for you. Trials by ordeals. As Scandinavia began embracing Christianity, the Viking justice system experienced some, shall we say, fiery upgrades. Enter the ordeal, a method that truly lived up to its name. These trials weren't about lawyers and judges, they were about elemental tests that could involve water, food, or most terrifyingly, fire. Here's the twist. Surviving one of these ordeals wasn't about your resilience or pain threshold. Nope, it was seen as divine intervention. If you made it through, it meant God deemed you innocent. But if the ordeal snuffed out your life, well, that was divine justice served cold. Or rather, blazing hot in the case of the ordeal by fire. Now, what did this fiery test involve? Prisoners might find themselves asked to dip their hands into boiling water or oil. Some had to trudge across smoldering coals, while others bore the burden of carrying a red-hot iron a set number of steps. Feeling the heat yet? Slavery. And then there was the harrowing life of the Viking thrall. In the bustling Viking lands, slaves, or as they were known, thralls, came from various unfortunate backgrounds. Some were captives of war, hauled away from their homes to serve their conquerors. Others were domestic criminals, their freedom taken as retribution for their transgressions. And some were merely indebted individuals working tirelessly to settle their dues. This extensive network of thralls underpinned a significant portion of the Viking economy, spanning from the green meadows of Ireland to the frigid landscapes of Russia. But becoming a thrall wasn't just a consequence of war or debt. Oh no, even a local act of theft could land you in chains. Picture this: a Viking woman caught in the act of theft could find herself not imprisoned, but serving her victim as a thrall. It was a fate often deemed worse than death. Devoid of rights and at the complete mercy of their masters, thralls endured regular beatings, sexual assaults, and mistreatment. There were, of course, those thralls who resisted, defying their masters' commands. Their defiance, however, led to dire consequences. At the Viking assembly, the Thing, if a solution wasn't reached, the master had the right to maim or even kill a defiant thrall. And for some thralls, death wasn't an escape. A belief persisted among high-born Vikings. They'd need attendance in the afterlife. This belief condemned certain thralls to be buried alongside their masters. In certain Viking regions, it was the grim task of the Angel of Death, typically an older woman, to ensure this. In chilling rituals, she, along with a few men, would end the life of a young slave girl, only for her to be buried alongside her deceased master. The Blood Eagle. And now, the most gruesome of all. Whispered in hushed tones and passed down through legends, this method of execution wasn't just about death. It was a performance, a spectacle, and a message all rolled into one. The most notorious recounting of this execution is the story of Aella, the king of Northumbria. In 867, it's said he fell victim to this macabre punishment at the hands of Ivar the Boneless. Why such brutality, you ask? Revenge. Aella was responsible for the death of Ivar's father, Ragnar Lodbrok, and the Blood Eagle was Ivar's poetic justice. The procedure was not for the faint-hearted. The victim's back was meticulously sliced open. Then, with precision, their ribs were sawn off from the spine, bending them outward to resemble the wings of a majestic eagle. But the cruelty didn't end there. As the victim writhed in unimaginable pain, the executor, often the aggrieved son, would plunge his hands into the open wound, ripping out the lungs. Some tales even tell of the victim being hoisted between trees, the splayed ribs and pulled back skin giving the appearance of wings in a grotesque display. Such a method wasn't just about vengeance. It was a clear message symbolizing the very spirit of the Viking era, fierce and unforgiving.